Dillon and Joe Rogan have big doubts over JD Vance in 2028. I don't. I think he's an absolute shoo-in. Now, winning the election, I don't know. We don't really know, exactly who the Democrats are going to run. I'm going to assume it's Gavin Newsom, and he's not going to win any states in the Midwest. I actually think Gavin Newsom, if you can believe it, is worse and in almost every conceivable way than Kamala Harris. It like literally is worse in almost every conceivable way. But we'll hear what Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon have to say about it. By the way, quick reminder, remember when I shouted out that if you want to learn how to use AI, and even more importantly, using AI to generate money and earn money, I talked about that boot camp that's at link.outskill.com/quartering30. They have like loads of free stuff. I'm going to put a link in the description below to sign up for it. There's a 2-day AI mastermind where you can become an AI generalist that makes makes $100K in just 16 hours. Master AI tools, build AI agents, automate 70% of work, and make money with AI skills and get bonuses worth $5,100. That's happening this weekend. So I'm going to put the link in the chat if you want to sign up for it and check it out. And it'll also be in the description to check out as well. Let's go to this. Doubts over Vance in 2028.
The question is, Vance, who's smart, does Vance have it? There's doubts. Real doubts.
From who? Do you think that that's true? I'm wondering. Let me know in the comments. Do you think that it's true that JD Vance does not have an it factor? I mean, maybe, but I don't think that JD Vance has to really wow people. He just has to continue. All he has to run on is, I'm going to continue doing what Trump did, and Trump needs to, kind of endorse him. If Trump endorses Vance, that should be enough. Maybe people like MTG over Vance. I don't know
that if he has it or not. I like him as a guy. There's doubts. I'm not saying he doesn't have it.
What are the doubts?
That he doesn't have it. He doesn't have the charisma. He's stiff as a board. He's a klutz. He dropped a trophy. He's not articulate enough. He doesn't have it.
Still young.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a Democrat talking point. That JD Vance doesn't have like the it factor. That doesn't make sense to me. Yes, he's not as charismatic as Donald Trump, but name somebody who has been, other than maybe JFK. Obviously I'm not infinity years old, so I don't know exactly, maybe who were all the most charismatic presidents, but like, I don't really understand why. I'm not sure what he doesn't have.
Sure, but I'm saying these are the doubts. He's young. He doesn't have the gravitas.
Right.
The wife's maybe not super into it.
He's just making that stuff up. If he thinks that Usha Vance isn't totally into being the first lady, he's crazy. She's literally in like every promotional shot with him, period. Comedian podcaster Tim Dillon speculated Thursday that Vice President JD Vance might not be ready to run for president to succeed Donald Trump. By the way, he will also be vice president for another 3 years. Okay? He will be VP for another 3 years by the time, well, let's say 2.5 years by the time he has to start ramping up the run. And like, does he even have to campaign as hard as Trump? I don't think so. Now, maybe as I'm talking to people in chat, say, JD Vance is a VP. That's all he is. Okay. Is Ron DeSantis going to run again? Is there even going to be a primary? Does JD Vance lose to, I don't think JD Vance loses to Gavin Newsom. I don't think DeSantis loses to Gavin Newsom. There are some war hockey things that DeSantis said, his support for the Ukraine war, I didn't like. But overall, I still like DeSantis. And again, he's had another 4 years to cook. So maybe they will run DeSantis. Maybe Ron will run and JD Vance won't run. We don't know. Seems unlikely. There's been very few vice presidents who haven't gone on to run. You know, when, again, Rogan expressed shock at the idea, asking Dillon if he was serious. For realsies, heard it here first, get on the train, he replied. So Tim Dillon is just making this up. I don't think anyone out there thinks that JD Vance doesn't have it. You know, Dillon added that Green was surprisingly weirdly capable. She's kind of a tough B word. She ran a construction company. He's talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. All this stuff. She's going to be able to go out there and say America first, not Israel first. He said there's not enough daylight between him and Trump on Israel. MTG's going to take advantage of it. Dillon continued. Marjorie Taylor Greene would never beat JD Vance in an open election. Not going to happen. What I like to see is MTG run as his vice president, maybe. MTG is, nah, I don't think she's got the polish. But then again, Trump didn't either. I don't know. You know, people think I'm super wrong. Maybe I am wrong. I think Vance is a very, very well-spoken. If they're going to have an open primary, I don't think anybody would touch it. I think people can like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I like her a lot too. And I met her, and she's a very nice lady. But, I mean, she's not beating JD Vance in a primary. You're crazy if you think that's true. You're crazy if you think Ron DeSantis doesn't beat the incumbent vice president. That's not happening. That's not happening. Now, JD Vance might not run. JD Vance might bungle something in the next 3 years. Possible, you know. But there is no way Marjorie Taylor Greene gets more, you know, even competes in the primary against JD Vance. I know that now don't confuse that with me saying like she's bad or something like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about the numbers. You know what I mean? Everyone loved Vivek Ramaswamy, but does anybody think he was beating Trump in the primaries? The Republicans are not running a woman. Not happening. I love Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a bit of a loose cannon, but so is Trump. But, you know, the Israel issue probably, you know, maybe that'll be a bigger deal. Dillon said it was clear that Greene was positioning herself to run for president, even though she had not officially indicated any plans of doing so. Maybe I'm wrong, but am I? He teased. Dillon dismissed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as someone who has cop energy, and he's a prick. No one likes him. He offends everyone. He's dismissive of people. Again, I have not heard any of that. JD Vance, Pete Hegseth ticket would be great. How about JD Vance, RFK Jr.? I'd even consider that. I don't know if I'd want RFK to be a heartbeat away from the presidency, but I'm really starting to like RFK Jr. I mean, I think that DeSantis can come off as swarmy, but I don't think people in Florida don't like him. I don't think Floridians, you know, he seems like a nice enough guy to me. You know, in July, Dillon revealed that he had dinner with Vance. And after the political fallout over the Justice Department's handling of the Jeffrey files, Dillon also interviewed Vance on his podcast during the campaign. Vance revealed in an interview last week that he felt ready to serve as president, even though he stressed that Trump is in good shape at the age of 79. I think it's crazy to think that JD Vance doesn't have charisma. Like, watch his podcast with Theo Vaughn. He comes across wildly likable. Rubio could be a dark horse VP because he's killing it in his position now. You know? But I think Tim Dillon's just saying things to say anything. You know, if not JD Vance, will be Rubio or even Ron DeSantis. JD's good enough for the job. What is this guy thinking with MTG? I do not agree. I mean, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, people really like her and she has her fans. But, you know, Vance can come across a little robotic, but I don't care. Like, if Vance says, I'm going to do even more deportations and I'm going to do, this, that, and everything else. Like, why wouldn't I vote for him? Like, JD Vance has, JD Vance has, I think he's the incumbent. You know what I mean? Like, I think he, when you talk about the it factor, do you think, I guess you could say Barack Obama had it. You could say Barack Obama had it. I think that's fair. Joe Biden didn't have it, and he won the election. Bush Jr. didn't have it, and he won the election. Bill Clinton did have it. Bill Clinton had it. Barack Obama had it. Trump has it. I don't think JD Vance needs to be like as crazy and bombastic as Trump is. He doesn't have to be that guy. He doesn't have to be that guy. He just has to say, hey, we're going to keep the deportations up. We're going to still be American.